What's going on, guys, and welcome to a special edition of the Snapchat as Alex and I are in person here in sunny San Diego for TwitchCon, and it's the episode 99, which is pretty sick. In a row, every Monday. You guys know the drill. We're going to make it happen no matter what. Now, a little bit of a different audio space this week, but the same show. Also, we might sound a little dead. It's because, fun fact, we are. It's been essentially a 4-day bender, and we're recovering at this point. I'm still sleeping.
I cannot wait to go through like what we did at TwitchCon, the people we saw, the stuff we did, the absolute anarchy we got ourselves involved in. It's going to be a wild show. Like, this is actually the most excited I've been in a long time because it's just so crazy, like what we did.
It's going to be different today a little bit, guys, and like next week we have our season preview, all the good stuff, back at the action again for the 100th episode, and a special surprise that you guys will get teased right now. However, today we're just going to have a conversation about Scarlet Spider, what he's going to bring to Marvel Snap, what we think, the good old stuff we usually talk about, talking about archetypes and where they are in the game. People like to say it's a great meta. We're going to think about it. We're going to talk about it and go through the archetypes, where it's at, what we think about it. By the way, this is going to be only one side. If you guys are looking for Alex's because of the special conditions here, this is going to be the episode here, and then again next week.
Back to usual next week. We're going to be doing everything on this episode this time around.
And it's a good week. That's why we couldn't skip this week. Scarlet Spider. Really interesting card. For those that don't know, I will throw it on the screen right now in this lovely space between Alex and I, holding up the card, holds it up together. It is a 4-cost, 5-power card and has an activate ability of being able to make an exact clone of it when you activate it. Obviously, you can only do this once per game. And it's got some serious potential, man. I know people are hyped about the character, but also the ability.
Yeah, no, I honestly think that Scarlet Spider is going to be a very legitimate card. I don't have my notes on me. I think we ranked it pretty highly originally.
Yeah, it was a tough one to rank, like a bit. I think I think it might have been my lowest ranked, but again, this month, think about it, like it was a tough month to actually. Silver Sable was my lowest.
Yeah, Silver Sable was your lowest.
But it's right. I think it was right there. Whereas now, where have you landed on it? Where are you at?
In terms of the actual like ranking between the 5 cards, I'm still we'll commit to that next week, I think, right? But I am gonna go with a 4-star rating here. Because, first of all, I think all the cards this month have been good. And I think, like, even Madame Web is starting, like, you're seeing what, like, Aranya has done for Madame Web and stuff like that. But what I think is really important about Scarlet Spider is I think it has, like, this incredible combo potential. And I see it being played in, like, a wide variety of decks. It feels like a jack-of-all-trades card that I feel like we haven't had in a bit. It almost feels like more of a Season Pass card in terms of its applicability across a number of decks. Yeah, it's also notable, I guess, because this month was the month of Activate. Yep. So having Symbiote Spider-Man be like the Season Pass card does make sense, right? Yep. Also, the art at level 50 is probably amongst the best we've had in a while. Since the Flaviano month, I think, has been some of the hottest art we've seen.
It was a good art month. What is the Spotlight? Do we know?
The Spotlight is, our notes are right there. It's Scar and White Widow is the Spotlight week, which honestly is a great week because even Scar is making a pretty big comeback.
Scar is such a weird card, though. Like, I love Scar. I do like him, but like I feel like he's just not played often still.
Yeah, I guess, but like if you really think about it though, some of the top performing decks that like have really high cube rates but aren't seeing a lot of play and not necessarily meta shaking are often these Scar decks. That like will play Call Obsidian. Yep. They'll play these like really high impact 10 power cards and then sneak it out for 2 with Shang-Chi on turn 6.
When Scar came out in January, there's probably been 5 to 6 to 7 cards with 10 power that have been added to the game. I feel like it's been a lot. Like maybe not, probably more on 5. Like I know, like and we lost like Sentry. Let's say like we've lost a couple, but we've gained a lot too. And you know what? They have Scar here on purpose because the activation of a clone for him, there is going to be possibilities to get that up to 10, split them. That's an immediate Scar at 2 costs at that point. And so, like, we've talked about this before, like, they, purpose place some of these cards sometimes that do synergize with the cards that are coming out. But definitely not the worst Spotlight. I mean, and then White Widow is still one of the best 2 costs, if not still has the title.
Yeah, so like if you're building a deck and you just want like the best in-slot card to start at the 2-drop spot, you're probably starting with White Widow. It used to be Jeff. Like, the reason why you saw Jeff fall off so significantly with regards to his play rate was specifically because of White Widow.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's most like thoughtless. Like, you almost like don't even need to really put too. I mean, like, if you want to like meta try, you know, you'd be like, okay, where do I want them to have to start playing? What? Most of the time, it's like just a good card to shoot out. It's not Thena where you have to like think heavy and stuff.
No, not at all. Like, it's actually like one of those cards where it's like it's so low risk. Because even if they fill the location, it's not like a goblin where you get stuffed and it's sitting. You just get the 2 power.
Certainly not a bad spotlight week, right? And then Scarlet Spider itself. And yeah, you know what? You said 4 out of 5. I'm right there. I do think it will have it. Okay, so this is why I think it's going to be a 4 out of 5. Like, even if you look at it as like, well, it's going to have certain draws that make it way better or worse, period, we know that just solid value stats have great play rate, and they've kind of like held the test of time. Like, we've seen that across, you know, Marvel Snap. Sometimes they have conditions, so Cole Obsidian may not get the most play, but he does still get played. This is a 410 min with the potential to be much greater than that. Yeah. So I think that like it doesn't whiff just because of that. The only concern, and I believe I don't have the stats or the card ability right here, you don't get to pick the location where the clone is going to go. That's the only variable in this.
Yeah. So based on the information that we have, it's apparently going to be random. However, you obviously get to choose when you activate based on your play order.
Yep.
But it will randomly select the location, from my understanding. It's not a selectable effect the way like Madam Web would be selectable.
Okay. Yeah, and it's funny because we're all still learning. I think actually we have to bring this up. Like Aranya, you know, I think Alex and I, we pride ourselves of like really doing the homework and knowing how these cards work so that we're like reliable to you guys. I have to say I whiffed on Brood, as we both did, on how that was going to work, and I should have known. So it was funny. I had a conversation with Glenn, and he was like, "It is worded badly in a sense." Hopefully, I can say that, Glenn. I don't think you can, but
I think he openly did say that they're looking at modifying the text.
It's worded badly, but also if you think about like Symbiote Spider-Man, like Black Panther plays down, he doubles, then you've got that merge thing, and then it doubles again. So if you think about Aranya, of course, Brood is going to, you know, spread his babies, and then it's going to get that +2, and then it's going to move. Like, it's the same order, but it's how it was worded. I think that was what was confusing.
Yeah, I think the major thing with that is if, like, you think about the way Iron Fist is worded, like, it says after you play. Nico, each individual effect is after you play. And that is exactly what Aranya does. However, with something like a Forge, it's like it's the immediate effect, and Aranya was kind of worded with that immediate effect in mind. But then again, it was the second activate card released, so it's entirely possible that like they're designing the cards, they're playing with it in testing, but they didn't really consider someone didn't get a chance to actually play this card, and they're evaluating it in the synergies. And that's where like we found a little stumbling block. But listen, it's literally just a minor text change. I still think the card is good. Like, I think it's a phenomenal card, honestly.
It is. It's a very good card. Yeah, it was one interaction that maybe didn't work. You know, as we do, we're going to break down the synergies and kind of like our initial thoughts and where it's going. And I'd say I don't got anything on me. I'm just going with what I know, what I feel about this card. And like I said, 410. Let's start with the power givers, as we always do, right? We have our set. Aranya was kind of made to be a very good card to chain off with this card because you can save her boost up, which is what has proven her to be so valuable.
Yeah.
But then also we have Forge, we have Hulkbuster, we've got Ironheart, all these interactions. But you do have to think about the play lines, right? So Ironheart's a good example, kind of, but if you think about it, it's like a very awkward example because of the way that would be played down, right, in relation to the clones, I guess, splitting. Let's start with the clones. Are you going to pretty much always split on 6? You know, like, I don't see always why you would want to split before that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's that much benefit to splitting before 6. I'm sure there's going to be times and cases, but I think also keep in mind that when you save it till turn 6 based on your play order, you can also fill a location, can then control where the other one goes, right? So like you get a little more like viable play based on like where you want that card to end up. But like also, the later you wait, the more opportunity is to build the card up.
The risk, exactly. Like, and that's what I think is really cool about it. You have this like, that is going to be the game plan. Like, right? Like, you're not going to, like, that will be the win condition you go in on when you start to get them up. And so you do have that risk. And so priority is going to be important. But also, we're going to have, I'm calling it now, before we even get to these synergies, we are going to have the greedy decks that are all in. It's like the Black Panther days.
Yeah, of course.
The greedy decks that are playing like freaking Okoye and Nakia. Listen, they're not going to be playing. But maybe Nakia, but Okoye these days. But you're gonna have the all-in, build up the clone decks, or you're just gonna have the like, hey, it's a 410. Let's make it a 412, 414, and just have like that dependable power stat spread.
It's worth noting that like with most cards, especially that 410 stat line, you traditionally had to like work. You had to do something to get to 410.
Yeah.
Like Crossbones, you have to do something to get that stat line. Original Atuma, right? Scar. Yeah, well, not Scar, that's a bad example. Scar works with the 10s. Call Obsidian, although that one's easy, still there's a requirement for that extra power. Scarlet Spider's requirement is basically have space.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And it's and you are spreading that power, but like Doom is a great example. Like, who cares? Like, you know, and if you get that power up a little bit all of a sudden, so Doom is obviously a 615. I mean, you're looking at, let's call it 7 power. At that point, you're a 414, right? So it's like, it has the potential to be absolute cracked. Now, there is a limit on power gifting cards that you even want in your deck. But I have noticed, I don't know about you when Roundey came out, Sebastian Shaw is starting to get interesting. Like, Shaw was so limited to, like, Surfer. And now I'm starting to see these builds where I'm like, man, I might just want his base stat line as like a nice little power, vertical bump and an alternate play to something like Scarlet Spider.
Yeah, he was so shoehorned directly into Surfer, and that wasn't his fault. It was just like, what are you gonna do with Sebastian Shaw? Like, there was very little cards that really synergized well with him. And I think the challenge around Sebastian Shaw was that the cards you were forced to run to really get the most out of him were bad cards. Like, if you're running Okoye and to some extent Nakia, you're playing these suboptimal cards. And that actually gives me a bit of a concern with Scarlet Spider. If you don't have really good buffing cards, but we do because we have Aranya, right? Without Aranya, this card would have been much weaker, I think.
Locations is going to be a massive thing for Scarlet Spider in offense and defense in a way, right? Like, going into Death's Domain, we've talked about this, going into these closed off locations. But also, there are a lot of locations that add power naturally, and it's gonna be interesting to use that to your advantage.
Yeah, like you'll have like Muir Island, you'll have the one that does like the turn 5 +2 Stark Tower, isn't it? Yeah. So like there's lots of opportunities to add power, and that's actually something that I feel like is coming up, especially as we get more experience playing the game. We try to like really min-max synergies with cards. Is I think that the interactions with locations are probably something that needs to be more ingrained in our evaluations, because like it actually is a huge difference. Like, the way these cards interact with locations is massive.
I think just Gwenpool Scarlet Spider might be the thing. And Aranya, sure, as well. But like, if you have Gwenpool, I think you're gonna be in a place that if you can get that going, it's such a natural 4, 5, 6. Yes, I know it's not a 4 and a 5 cost, but at that point, you're going to be playing Scarlet Spider if it got that tick, or 2 ticks, or, if you're lucky enough, 3, whatever. But even just 1 or 2, to where it just makes sense, and then you have time to activate it, and then you can, like, work off of it. Maybe you have the Brood, maybe you have Sebastian Shaw on the deck, kind of working with that. That was something that stuck out to me pretty fast, is that, like, Gwenpool / Aranya are, like, the cards for this card.
Yeah, no, it's very clear that, like, Gwenpool has been a major part of the meta, despite the fact it's had a relatively low play rate. Its win rates and Q rates have been very high, and it's one of those cards that like people I feel like are generally kind of just like ho hum on.
Yeah.
Because I think it like the way it plays, it has this like it's not consistent with which cards it hits and stuff. But if you build around it, kind of taking advantage of it as like the graveyard,
get a Makari in there or whatever too.
Yeah, exactly, like right. And so like I see it, but the key thing is you bring up a good point. Like, you can 100% just play Scarlet Spider on turn 5. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. It's when it turns turn 6. That's where the card's primary weakness is, where you're not able to activate on turn 6. It's not an on-reveal, right? And so that is one of the challenges that you have, where like it has to come out by turn 5.
I hate that sometimes we got to bring up cards over and over again that you may not have. But to me, it feels like an archetype that isn't played enough, and it hasn't been, and it's still not even, it doesn't even have the respect. Hell, I'd even put it on the notes for later. I don't even have notes. But down later when we talk about the archetypes in review, I didn't put it down there as its own thing. But it's time to give the respect to Namora as her own thing and what she can do in Namora decks. Is Namora probably the other just like most natural, great curve play to instantly get a 410.
Yeah, I would lean towards going the Nomura route over Gwenpool. Personally,
Yes,
like the way
if you have.
I really like playing on curve.
Yeah.
I like playing that curve numbers game, and I feel like Nomura as a whole has so many different kind of like deck variations that make it successful. The key risk I think it runs is that in the current meta that we're seeing, Cosmo is incredibly popular. Ironically, 3 weeks ago, Cosmo was nowhere to be found. And all of a sudden, Cosmo's making a comeback, and that can have an impact on Nomura, but you might make a Nomura deck that doesn't, like, maybe you don't use Wong. Right? Maybe it's the Scarlet Spider that takes that Wong spot. You reduce the greed on there. Because remember, you can Nomura, and then you can Odin, and then you can activate.
Yeah, fair, absolutely. I mean, we saw it with like the Galactus thing for a while and stuff too. Like get the symbiote big enough to get the and we'll talk about symbiote here in a moment. I had to pause just to say we talked about one night, a couple drinks in us at TwitchCon. We'll skip it ahead for a second, but what tattoo? I don't even know how we got on this track, but if you had to get a Marvel Snap tattoo, we had to. Which one would you get? Alex, you picked Cosmo.
I did? I don't remember this conversation. You know what? It's so funny. I don't remember because I have faulty memory, not because of any other reason. I actually do remember saying this. I do remember because I said it was either going to be the Dan Hip Cosmo or the Rian Gonzalez Cosmo, and that's what was stopping me from getting a massive Cosmo on my chest.
What did Dexter say? I forgot. What did he say?
Oh, I can't remember. But again, just because I don't have a good memory.
I think I said, and I still stand by this, blob riding a motorcycle bursting through my chest in flames. Really fits me and my style.
So like the Ghost Rider blob crossover through your chest?
Yeah, I might get one. The Nomura decks I like to play are the Jeffs, the Nightcrawler ones. And what's awesome with this is, let's say you Nomura, then you split early, you have these Jeffs and Nightcrawlers to adjust to how that split or to fill a lane. Yeah. And then I see the Symbiote Lockdown deck that I still play. And it was one of my better videos. Thank you guys for watching. But that is a deck I still go back to a lot because it is based off that. It's based off building up with the Nomura, shutting down stuff. That was prior to even War Machine, which is going to be interesting with that in the mix. But I like Scarlet Spider in that shell, I think.
Yeah, so with Symbiote Spider-Man, I actually think that, I wonder if these two cards can work together. I was trying to figure out, how you could double activate. And I think the only way you can do it is you go Magic turn 3, Scarlet Spider turn 4, you do something like a Nomura on turn 5, right? You have 7 turns, turn 6, you Arnhem Zola, the Scarlet Spider, because now you have 2 replications, but neither of one have used their activate.
This is one of those greedy decks you're talking about, and I love it. No, I do, and that we're seeing greedy decks though actually take shape now.
I think that ultimately though, the thing I really like about the Nomura into Zola thing is that it makes Zola very natural because you're naturally playing Nomura in a way where Scarlet Spider is going to be by itself. Because one of the tricks with Zola is trying to isolate it.
Yeah, right.
And Aranya can do that for you. Aranya can move cards into locations that you can then Zola with, right?
Yeah. No, and I think, again, I think Aranya is just going to be incredible, just one cost to get out there and have in the deck. Only time it feels bad to get her is turn 6, right? Yeah. Most of the time. But I feel like in general, we like to think of the crazy stuff. But even just the simple Aranya, 4/7, split into 2, 14, then Nomura, split into 2, 20 power. That is where, we went, crazy for Miss Marvel, but this could be a 420 with just a Nomura play.
And the thing that's worth noting as well is it's really resistant to, Shadow King. Because, you do Nomura, it goes to a 4/7, and they Shadow King it to a 4/5. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm actually super excited for this card. I think that this card, in particular, this season, is going to be one that I think has much more natural, with Madam Web and with some of the others that I've released this month, like with Symbiote Spider-Man. It's like the deck building was so wide open that
all three.
Yeah, you didn't really know where to start. And I feel like with this one, I know exactly where I want to start.
And it's just simple. It's much simpler. We had Activate, brand new ability, what's going on. Madam Web, we all haven't played Move in 9 months. We're all just trying to figure out what to do with this, and this is a lot more straightforward. And just good value stats. And so I think its floor is very safe because it's that 410 into 2 lanes.
An interesting thing worth noting too is that it technically should be playable in Cerebro 5.
You either love Cerebro 5 or you don't, but even the fact that you can naturally just play Cerebro 3 and then you don't care about boosting it up and you have the ability to Doom and Split, you have 5 things going out on the board that they had no idea that was about to happen. So I think listen, By now, if you're not playing C5 or you have it, you're probably not going to. But it is definitely a good deck.
It makes up for the like. We had Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel got dropped down, and now Miss Marvel's no longer part of that archetype, and then C5 just disappeared as a whole.
The bottom line is a lot of cards seem good, are good, but does it offer enough, right? It's like a product on Shark Tank where they're like, this product exists already. Like, why would someone go out of their way to buy this? Or and it's got actually this is kind of the same as Snap, right? Like, is it doing anything to earn a spot on the roster over other cards, and does it do its job better or way better? And I think, yes, I think it's going to do something super unique, which we've seen before, but this is unique with good stats attached.
Yeah, like I do think that like I'm pretty confident this card's going to land strong. Yeah. Like it feels that way, but the archetype that's it's going into, although being a very high-performing one in Namora, we've talked about it being one of the sleeper cards of Marvel Snap, it just hasn't been a meta definer despite its fantastic stats, despite its high win rates, its high cube rates. And that's likely where you're going to find it. We know that Cerebro has its limitations. It's unlikely to be a complete meta shaker. But you cannot deny that, like, just straight up value, good card style stuff, it's not hard to perceive this card as a very strong card.
And the good thing is we should know pretty quickly with this card how it's going to perform. Great example is Wiccan. A lot of people said Wiccan was bad because they felt like that was the case even after 3 days. But guess what? Wiccan's a good card. It's a good card. It's doing good things now. We should know this isn't a Wiccan. This isn't complicated. It's cool. There's complicated things that can happen, but it's not a super complicated card at all.
No, I wouldn't think so. I think that what we should do here is just make a quick note of Aranya's past week here in review. Now, I actually really like the card a lot. On aggregate, across all untapped stats, it's running a 49% win rate, which is lower than I expected. Its cube rate's kind of fluttering in a not great spot either. But what I will say is that we're starting to see some move decks come out that are much more competitive in like the 54% range, which, by the way, is astronomically high for move traditionally.
Yeah.
Solid cube rates, and Aranya is making those decks. So I'm actually pretty optimistic long-term for Aranya.
My favorite deck that I have played this season, and it's not even close, it was titled in the video, was Small Soldiers, and it was an Aranya. Everything was below like 3 to 4 costs, and funny enough, when Agent Venom, I believe, comes out, it's like this, I think it's going to fit naturally in there. And it's just like these little dudes that hold the line, and Aranya was a great puzzle piece to that. Really does feel like an amazing card.
It's one of those things where I think that one of the best synergies with Aranya is going to be Scarlet Spider. So it's like, it's one of those things that's like, are you willing to risk the chance that you pass on Aranya, and then all the Scarlet Spider decks have Aranya in it, and you're like, oh, what have I done to myself? You know what I mean?
And next season's more of a mystery where these cards are going to land, so like, last month we were like, it doesn't matter. You got to save for this month, and we mostly like all these cards are going to be useful in the future in some way or another.
Yeah, like we'll do a full review next week, but like so far these cards seem like they're slotting in like their spaces. They're finding their niches. They might not have shaken the meta up. They might not have like ruined the meta. Well, that's actually pretty thankful. But they are definitely finding their niches and having an impact on the game.
We're going to talk about that. Let's talk about the meta a little bit. So as you guys know, often it's like it's a great meta now. It's a great spot. It's a great time to be a Marvel Snap player.
There's a guy that used to say that.
I know, man. He died.
Part of him died.
After this weekend. Yeah. I feel like he's dead a little bit. God, I can't wait to talk about TwitchCon. But anyway, I do feel like I was going through the archetypes, and I was like, it does feel really good right now. Now, listen, you might have seen the infomercial that was brought to you by the Cozy Snap team and me. Hela. How we feel about Hela?
I was just gonna say, bold take saying the meta's feeling pretty interesting.
I feel like Hela is definitely this outlier right now. In its like input in, output out.
You know what's interesting? So I was doing an analysis on the meta, and Hela does not break the top 10 win rate. It does not break top 10 cube rate. You just hate playing against.
Hela is like that new frustration. There's always one. There's always going to be one. It has been proven. It's like the
new villains of Marvel
the
Snap.
rule of the Sith. There's always two. There's always one villain in Marvel Snap sometimes, too.
That's a rule? There's always two Sith?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
A master and an apprentice.
I didn't know. Oh, that makes sense. Never mind.
Sidious and Maul.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I need to catch up with my Star Wars.
You need to catch up on your
I was
everything.
told to wait. There's 2 Star Wars. One I can't remember. One I was told to avoid and don't watch, and the other one's like the best one ever.
Which one?
I think Acolyte. I was either told to avoid or watch.
Acolyte was bad.
Acolyte was bad. What was
Very
the really good one that everyone really universally likes? It's also a new one. TV show, Disney Plus.
Probably Andor, Mandalorian.
It was Andor.
Okay.
So it was watch Andor, don't watch Acolyte.
But Mandalorian was obviously mentioned.
Yes, I watched the first season of Mandalorian.
The second season, the second season is the season.
Yeah.
It's
Really?
good.
It is? Okay, I'll have to watch
My
it.
Star Wars people say something in the comments. Discard. Let's go from Hela, right, to discard and full. I actually like where discard's at a lot.
discard.
But even more so, oh my god, Hell Cow. I had a feeling that Hell Cow was going to do what it was going to do, and we talked about this lightly last week. I think the jury's out. Black Swan is still awkward. Hell Cow and the power that discard can have with activate is huge, man.
I think Black Swan's time will come, right? It'll come eventually. It's not there right now.
Yeah.
But Hell Cow is just stupid. And we knew it was going to be good. We said that a 4-8 Hell Cow was ridiculous. It turns out that 4-6 Hell Cow.
It's not even. It's the fact that discard was all about risk reward. I was actually talking about this on the notes. I was like, back in the beta, there was no targeting. Like it was just like sword mass. It didn't matter. It was all just like willy nilly. Lady Sif was like it. Now it's like you have so many ways to concentrate what you're getting rid of and building up power and doing these crazy things. Hell Cow gives you that ability times 10, and it obviously benefited Hela the best because that is the main, like that is the deck where you want to get rid of things later and play it safer. Hell Cow, absolute winner, and discard as a whole, absolute winner. Excited to see where that archetype's going.
It's not just that. It's Hell Cow, but it's also Moon Knight. Moon Knight's making the Hela decks.
Without question, because you're getting a discard to benefit you. It's one of the ultimate, it's like a copycat, right? It's the ultimate offense-defense card. You're doing so many things. Or Killmonger, right? It's Killmonger, I think, is a better example. You are benefiting yourself, and you are, pushing something against your opponent, hurting them in some way. Those cards, and Killmonger has been a staple forever for a good reason. Moon Knight's starting to earn that role.
Yeah, I think we should talk about ongoing, but before that, I want to tell you that this apple juice is spicy.
It is spicy apple juice, guys. This is who makes this apple juice?
It's like Angel's Envy, you said.
No, they'll know.
Oh.
It was Apple's jealousy.
Ongoing is putting up good stats now.
Spectrum for sure.
Because Miss Marvel was needed. That extra 10 power on the board, 14 technically, was needed for that archetype to kind of push to those new levels. Because we're seeing other archetypes just get gradually stronger, higher highs. So we're getting lower lows too. But I just want to say that Ongoing's in a good spot.
Miss Marvel, Scarlet Spider, and Doom is such an insane playline.
Yeah.
Now you don't know where that Scarlet Spider's going to go, but it won't mess you up because it won't go in the same lane. So it's kind of interesting. Like you can just stack because it used to be like Miss Marvel Doom was the playline.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree. Ongoing and what Webb did for Miss Marvel was massive, and we just have a lot of good ongoing cards right now. Like they're just like so many that can offer like offense and defense, and then you have the boosting at the end to kind of spice them all up. I think it's in a good space. Living Tribunal has its niche again. Yeah. It's doing its thing. Like, you lose if you don't have the things to take care of that deck. I think Move is never going to be the deck, but I also think it is a very rewarding deck, and I still think it's even more so skillful in a lot of ways.
I actually think that Move should be looked at. I think they really need to sit down. They say, okay, we gave it high-powered pieces and Madam Web, Aranya, and others. I think they really need to take a look at Move as a whole and say, okay, how do we want this to actually play? Because we can't just make it so like, oh, look, you have a 90-something, Human Torch. You have Dagger through the roof. It can't be that. Like, I think they need to rebalance the attack.
I feel like, and we said this on one of the most early Snapchats ever, where, like, remember we talked about Heimdall, and before you played him, there'd be this left or right arrow, and, like, let's say activate, you would hold down the arrow. What if all these cards, so Iron Fist, whatever, we had the option of left or right? I feel like even just that would help massively, because then you could start really, like, your opponent is not you don't play an Iron Fist, and they're like, well, that's going to go to the left.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I don't want to sound mean, but every once in a while, I go against a Move player, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to play against this. Like, it's just, I can't predict what's going on. It doesn't feel like a card game anymore. Stuff's moving everywhere.
They're not going to change that, though.
I know, but I'm just saying, if Heimdall can all of a sudden shoot stuff left and right and center, and Iron Fist is punching guys.
But maybe that's the thing, though. Like, it doesn't do, like, Move has been proven inconsistent at this point. 100%. It needs something to have that random value. That's its strength.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I'm just like, at some point, like, you got to play cards in a location, and that's like move is like skirting that, and especially with Madam Web, like you have all this movement, and they always resolve first, right?
So that's like what's awkward is it resolving first.
Yes,
dude.
so it's like what I'm trying to say is I don't know if I'm articulating this well because it's been a long 4 days, but I just wonder about move, and if it's like if dagger has to be taken down a bit. So yeah, you have a 30 power dagger, that's sick, but like what if dagger gets to 12? But the other move pieces are better. What if Madam Web is actually a 2/3, and like those, like you find other places, make Iron Fist a 1/3, add power across the archetype, take the ceiling down a bit, but add more power across the board. I don't know. Like again, I'm not a game dev. I'm just saying it doesn't feel like move's answer is more vertical power.
Okay, totally noted. We have also on reveal that is doing his thing. It's so funny to put on reveal in its own ability. Like weird. I think it's like you have Surfer in there. I think Surfer has maintained its spot where it's at. It's great as well. Junk is very popular to answer a ton, but also Viper and Hood just be one of the most flexible combos in the game. Period. It's just a very staple thing, and then people like to build off that.
Yeah.
Ajax, Hazmat, High Evo in those builds. That is a fantastic deck right now.
Yeah, it's weird to see High Evo like legit making a comeback.
It is.
Like
Ajax
unironically good.
Yeah, for sure. And there's decks without Ajax that are doing good too with High Evo, but it is cool to see that have a comeback, especially because they said they wanted to give it something, and I don't know if we ever got that thing.
We saw something really interesting. So US Agent we recognize as being a good card, but we weren't seeing it very often, and we actually surmised that once it was in the hands of more players and more people were willing to play with it, because it was in the Spotlight cache, there was a chance we were going to see like US Agent actually elevate, and we're actually seeing that now with like US Agent in Toxic and ongoing, because more people have it, more people are playing it, and they're seeing the impact.
I like to call it the stature effect. I feel like that's where it started. Remember Stature? Stature was written off.
Yeah,
it was written off, and then people got it. And they're like, wait, this is just a crack card, and then they had to nerf it and adjust it and the whole thing. But yeah,
Nomura might be the same.
Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, I can't wait for more to come in the new Spotlight. But I do think, there are a couple outliers, but it is at a really cool spot. And I'm just excited for more cards to get activated. I know we had this debacle with Hellcat a little bit, but I do like that. And they can just fix it and adjust it, right? And at that point, we've got to get more free cards with Activate. Like, they got to go back. It's the easiest way to handle. It's the easiest way to handle it, to give a buff to a card, or at least a new way to play it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a huge tool that they have to like reinvigorate a lot of older cards. And yeah, like again, Black Swan, not necessarily great, but better, right? At least it's a thing that you can use, right? And it'll probably have its time at some point. But yeah, I do think Hellcow was definitely a good change. And wow, I'm just looking forward to seeing like what else they pick up on. Like Zabu, they said Zabu was too good to put onto an Activate.
Yeah, which makes sense, though.
It does make sense.
It does make sense.
But like what, Zabu is still just behind the shed?
Oh, it's bad. Guys, we're going to talk about TwitchCon. And if you're sitting over there thinking, I don't watch Twitch, it has almost little to do with actual
nothing
Twitch.
To do with actual
I haven't
Twitch.
streamed in 7 months. Like, it's okay. Alex Coccia, I heard the term, I don't know what this is, or what is this, more than I ever, so much so that I was convinced my son knew more about certain subjects in life than my co-host. And I say that with more love than I ever could put. What were some of the things? My mind's trying to hold itself together.
You were in shambles for most of the weekend. So I
chopsticks was fine. I understood that.
Me not being able to use chopsticks was breaking people at the restaurant.
What's that? You never used them. It wasn't that like you didn't know how to use them. I think that's a common issue.
No, I don't know how to use them. I've never used them.
You never used them once.
No, I don't think I've ever really held a chopstick.
You never had Chinese food at all.
But like the weird thing was, we weren't at a Chinese restaurant. We weren't at like an Asian cuisine restaurant. We were at a regular. It was a seafood restaurant.
We were having sushi.
No, we were at a seafood restaurant that happened to have sushi, but like
they gave it
you
to
guys
us
were eating.
We were having the sushi.
No, you guys were eating like those pot sticker things with chopsticks. Why not use a fork? Like you were choosing to make everything harder. I couldn't understand.
Stickers, the American food, the German. Oh no, it's of Asian culture.
Is it?
I found out Alex mainly eats hamburgers and chicken nuggets. What were some of the other things that I feel like there are things that we forgot? And I almost wanted to mention
the taco almost broke you today.
Okay, guys, we are, Alex and I loved it. You know, came to San Diego, wanted to treat him, take him around. You know, I take him to this beautiful seal place. You're going to see some footage. And he asked, did you ask first before they came, what is a taco?
I didn't ask what a taco was.
Pretty damn near much.
No, first of all, I never heard of a fish taco. I was I was assuming
cheeseburger.
I was
nuggets.
assuming that they were gonna like make a taco out of a fish. So like they were gonna like stuff meat into like a fish.
Sounds so difficult.
It's so stupid. And then so obviously they brought out a taco with fish in it. Like,
so if you see an old show called Wife Swap, there's a kid known as the Chicken Nugget Kid. It's what I feel like Alex had to be, where like it was just chicken nuggets all the time. So they bring out this fish taco. And Alex looks at me and it's sitting in front of him. And it's a taco. And he goes, "What do I do with this?" And it broke me. I sat there, and this was after a long, guys. It ordered. There's a story coming where I ordered pants for Alex on DoorDash. Like we have. But when he asked me what do I do with this, I was like, son, my 2-year-old, let me. And I go, well, what do you mean? I think I just said, what do you mean? I was so confused by I was like, what do you mean? What do you do with this?
Cozy grabbed the taco.
I'm like, you. No, it's like you eat it like a taco. I answered it with the question.
The reason why I was confused was because so when I go to first of all I've been to Taco Bell like twice in my life, and the taco that I understand is like I think it's like a tortilla wrap. I'm still confused to this moment.
Let's get to the pants story for a second here. So long story short, at TwitchCon there's a lot of after parties. Hence why I have like 3 brain cells max left over. I'm holding it together, guys. We got invited. So Alex came to sunny San Diego, and I always thought when I saw him on the Snapchat, I thought when I saw you on the Snapchat, it was maybe a little bit of a bit. I'm like, the guy wears a lot of Adidas shirts. And guy's got a lot of like athletic wear. Alex, not only does he only eat cheeseburger and chicken nuggets, Alex Coccia owns only athletic shorts. And athletic shirts. That's it. Like, that's all I've seen the man wear. That's all I know that he wears. And that's all you did wear.
I know. And it's funny because I actually asked Cozy before I left, like, hey, do I just pack shorts?
No, he goes, what do I pack? And I was sleeping, so I didn't answer. And the common answer I got today is, you didn't tell me what to pack. So it somehow got back to me.
Well, you didn't tell me I needed pants. I figured if we were in San Diego, you don't need pants.
We didn't know he needed pants, to be fair. So this is what we got invited to what's called a Stream Elements, and they hosted this major party. It's where, if you guys know Twitch, like it's where XQC, Ludwig, these guys, everyone was there. And I got invited, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get everybody in. I can't wait. And so we get there.
I'm dressed like a gym teacher.
Before we get there, I look at the sign up, and it's a nightclub, which I'm not going to a lot of nightclubs these days, but I do know that they're not exactly letting in YMCA instructors. Like, I know that that's not exactly the clientele there. And so it says on there, please have club attire, and like Dexter's in his jacket and jeans, and I think I was in something similar to this. And then we look at Alex, and he goes, is this club attire? Like, it was a question almost.
Were my Reebok shorts club attire?
So all of a sudden, we are already downtown, no stores in sight, and I'm like, how do we get this man pants?
Yeah, how do we get pants and get this dad into the club?
So I'm on DoorDash, and I get long story short, I'm on DoorDash. I'm ordering pants. I'm like having like trade negotiations.
He's asking me what size I am. I don't know.
The guy at DoorDash is like, I can't find them. And then all of a sudden, like, the guy's calling me, and he's like, the best pants are $182, which is like 7,000 Canadian dollars.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I don't know what size I am because all my pants have elastic beds.
He goes, I don't know what size I am. He goes, should I just get really big pants? I'm like, wait, hold on, you don't have a belt. And so I'm like, I think you want to go smaller. That either way is a lose. Either way, please comment down below. Would you rather have tight pants or big pants?
We went with the tight pants for the record.
We went with the tight pants. Long story short, we canceled the pants order, and because I didn't think we were getting in. I'm sorry, I didn't think I was going to be able to get.
I ruined the odds. I definitely ruined the odds.
I didn't think I was going to get everybody into this, and so we later in the night we get to said nightclub. Shout out to the guy at Stream Elements, and he was like, Cozy, come on in, and I don't know if anyone's. He was like, yeah, like, who's with you? And I think he was expecting me to be like, yeah, me and all the honeys.
Yeah.
And I look over, and it's Alex in his athletic pants, Dexter and co, and they're like. Alex in this nightclub was the greatest scenery I've ever seen in my entire. And I'm talking, guys, it was like you couldn't hear yourself think in here.
It was It was too loud. I'm sorry. I know I'm getting old, but it was too damn loud in there, man.
You went up to turn down this music.
I'm like, turn this down. I'm like, people are trying to sleep in this neighborhood. I'm trying to sleep. I'd love to go to sleep at this point. It's like 1:30 in the morning.
I'm not like a clothes guy. Like, I don't like, this is Gucci. This is like Walmart. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care.
But you have to understand, though, this is like the most exclusive party like in the city, right? And what's wild about it, you have to see Cozy at work. So like there was like a VIP area, right? Like I was like 20 feet away from it, hands in my pockets. Like I was intimidated by like the 4 guards that were guarding this door. And then Cozy looks at this VIP area and there's like literally every big name you can think of, they're just there, okay? And I'm like, I ain't going near there. Cozy's like, no, well, I'm going, right?
Didn't say it, I just walked in.
I turned away for 2 seconds. I turned back, he's gone, and he's in the room. Not only in the VIP room, but he's like at the head table talking to like the Twitch. I'm like, how does he do this? Like, you not only did you get into the door, but you like walked in and immediately sat down and then like just integrated yourself into their conversation.
I could talk to a homeless man. I just don't. I think it's because I don't. If you've ever met me in person, like I'm just a dude. I could care less who I am, but I do have. I have endless confidence, I guess. Like I just don't. I just walked in there, and I remember looking out there to you guys. Also, I didn't know your shorts had pockets. I don't know how to say this, but Alex, you know, like sometimes you might watch content and be like, "Are they putting on a front? Are they?" Guys, we were in the car and we had like places to go. Like it was a tight schedule, and Alex asked, wait, is there a Costco around here? And,
why is that even?
And Dexter said, well, yeah, the Costco's are everywhere. Alex was like all in that we should all go.
Yeah. Why? I'm shocked that everyone was appalled by my suggestion we go to Costco.
It wasn't appalled. It was like, well, what are we going to do there?
Get ice cream.
But why don't we just go get ice cream?
Because the Costco soft serve, it's half the price and it's better.
I'm convinced there's like major stocks that he owns in Costco.
I'm just like an actual Costco stand. I just buy stocks and then feed the podcast and just pump the stock.
There has to be. There has to be.
It's like a Costco pump and dump podcast.
Oh my gosh. I can tell you though, we, on top of this, you guys will see this in the next episode, we went to the zoo. We may have only had 30 minutes in there.
Yeah, but overall, like, TwitchCon was great. And one of the things that I really liked was I had an opportunity to meet, like, you know, like Binks and Felicity. A lot of Snap creators were there. And it's honestly, it's really special to get an opportunity to, like, meet people in person. That, like, we work in such a digital environment that getting to meet people in person, it's really special. Like, this was the first time I had a chance to meet Dexter. And, like, that meant a lot to me, man. Like, this is a guy that I've respected for so long. And what an awesome guy, honestly.
Well, and honestly, too, just like this is only my second time ever being with you in person. The first time was very limited, and so it was really cool to have Dexter, me, and Alex, Dara, all these guys, and all the Snap community, but all of us in just like one area was really cool. And also, there are so many closeted Snap fans. It's insane, truly insane.
Yeah, we were talking to like people that were doing exhibitions and they recognized yourself and I, and they're like, oh, we actually watched the Snapchat. Like, you know, and they're working for, you know, all these different brands. I was getting G Fuel and someone's like, oh, you know what I mean? It's
Alex,
crazy.
G Fuel edition, the pants, the what would you call the flavor?
Oh man, I don't know the flavor. They had like a PewDiePie one.
What would be yours?
What would I call my flavor? Pants.
Alex meeting my family way up there again. Consecrated turn, incredible friend of mine, and it's just so cool to put this all together. I actually said that today. We were like, we've done over 100 weeks of content together, and to finally like put that all together, it was so cool, man. It just truly special. Yeah, no, and this is special too, and it feels so. I should move to San Diego so we can do this in person more often. I wish. It's hot as hell in here. I'm on like 1% battery. It's if you guys want to know, these go out at 6:30 a.m. This time is it's close to midnight right now, so it's at the end of what this weekend was, but we had to do it. We had to make it happen. Anyway, guys. Thank you so much for coming on by. Thank you for entertaining yourselves with this special episode, if you will, of the Snapchat. I know we had a lot of fun here, and gosh, I wish we could do more of these in person. Hopefully we can. And as always, go over, subscribe to Alex, wonderful creator. Almost there at 100K. If you're watching this and you subscribe to my channel, go sub to him. Get him there. Get him that plaque button. And we love you guys. We appreciate you. As always, until the next one, guys, happy snapping.